Okay, so initially, like in the dashboard status, like what we are getting here. So I'm sure you are very familiar with this dashboard,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I'm familiar with this one. Yes. Whatever you want, you can bring it at widget,
Exactly. So
you
we
know.
the widget here,
Yeah.
and we can basically do the modification. Whatever we need here, we can
Mm,
here, right? And we can do the analysis here, right? Cool.
yeah.
Okay. So okay, so let me just can you just pause? Okay, so the very first tab we
So
get.
one of the most concerned thing for me is, how to systems are not able, how to find the issue and how to resolve that.
Sure. Okay, basically what I suggest always, if you really know how to configure a specific thing, right? Let's say um anyone can do like allow every single traffic and just do the access to the internet and can just enable the pad at the same time. That's it, right? Anyone can do that, right? But if you really know all the objects, how to configure the object, how to attach the objects to the policy, right? And at what point you need to assign or you need to allow a single user, at what point you have to like basically block a single user, right? If you really know these configuration, right? So trust me, the troubleshooting part will be very easy for you. Okay. So basically,
Mhm.
just focus on the configuration tab, right? Whatever we configure, right? Just check the logic. What is the logic behind that, and is there any dependency or not? Because once you start getting the dependencies also, right? Let's say, if I'll tell you, we are okay. If I'll just take an example of the normal router, right? I'll ask you to configure the networking or just a normal internet access to the users, right? You will say, yeah, definitely, you need a static route, a static default route towards the ISP, right? You will say, I need to configure the LAN interface, the WAN interface. You will say, like, I have to configure the netting, the inside, outside, right? And I have to configure statement over there. Now, if the user is not able to access the internet, you know, and you can figure it out. How you will figure it out? You know, every single point of the configuration, right? And how to modify it, right?
Mhm.
At that time, you can configure. Same here in the FortiGate also, if you know every single point of the configuration, right? So troubleshooting will be like a cup of tea. Okay. So what I suggest always just focus on the configuration, what we are doing here, right? And is there any dependency on the configuration or not? If yes, so in the troubleshooting, that things comes in mind. Let's say we are trying to allow the internet to the user, right? The user is not able to access the internet. Everything is done here. So you will try to verify, first of all, what is the user IP address, right? You will go for the policy and objects, like we have that policy over there or not. You will try to verify, okay, we have a dependency over there. That's a netting dependency, right? You will try to verify in the netting we have static net, dynamic net, pat, whatever it is, right? So if you know the dependencies, right, and you have the bunch of the configuration, you can easily basically easily figure it out like what it is. And those configuration, not we can't say like everything we have in the notes, right? That should be in your mind, because then only you can figure it out. Okay, to do this task, blah 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 is a required thing, right? And then I have to check the blah, and then okay, got it, and figure it out and fix it out, right? So every single thing, try it, everything, right? Whatever we do here, even if you know, just try it out again. Okay, let's say I'll tell you to configure the interface and whatever parameters we do over there, right? Try again the same thing, okay? And try to ask the questions even, right? Because when you start asking the questions, right, it means yes, you are learning and you know the logic behind that, right? And you will learn the few more things, because it will be like, let's say you will not ask the question, so in that case I'll just go in the flow, right? But once you ask, I will try to answer few more things over there. I will try to like include some extra information over there, okay? Okay, so basically, final thing, just try to learn every single configuration and the dependencies. If you know the configuration and the dependencies, the troubleshooting part will be very easy. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So if I'll go to dashboard, right, the very first thing we get the status here, right? So in this status, we can get the complete idea, right? So as of now, I can see the system information, the host name, the serial number of the device, right? The firmware, right? The mode, that is netting, whatever it is, right? As of now, uh, times we are getting and the WAN IP we are getting if we are using something, right?
Mhm.
The license, about licensing, it is talking about. So we have some kind of information here about the license, right? That is a trial license, or that is full license, how many virtual CPU we can use, what is the RAM that we are using right now, right? And this is how we get the CPU, session, memory, everything we get here, right? Let's assume I do not want this information here. I can remove it out, right? Let's say I do not even want the session information. I need session information. Let's leave it, right? Let's say I don't want this as of now. Leave it, right? And let's say I want this here. You can just drag and drop here. You can basically stretch this to two window size also, right? Let's say I want
Mhm.
into the four window size, right? So these are the options we have to stretch it out to, let's say we are getting sessions and numbers of session, right? What I want here, I want to check few more information here. I can just stretch it out and then we have the time frame, right? So this time scale I can get here. Let's say as of now there is 1 minute only, right? I can increase the time frame, right? Let's say I need a time frame for 12 hours, right? I can get that also. Okay. As of now, this
Yeah.
is set up, right? So I can't see here. So if just let's say I'll set it to 30 minutes. Yep, I can get it, right? So this is how basically we can do the modification in the time scale. Okay, time scale DB we can get here. So this is the kind of database the device is having, right? And over top of the database,
Mhm.
we are running some Dockers, right? And those Dockers are basically pulling out these things. Okay, so Nabi, do you have idea about the Dockers?
No, I don't have.
Okay, so basically, when we talk about these firewalls, right? Let's say if I'll talk about the FortiGate firewall, the Palo Alto firewall, right? What they do basically in the background, we know they are using the Linux thing, right? And
Yeah.
the Linux side, over top of Linux, what they have, basically they have the modified shell, right? The FortiGate has
Hmm.
their own shell mechanism, or what we call like the command shell, right? So FortiGate tells, okay, run this command and then you will get this output. How that is getting the output in the background, the FortiGate shell is backlinked with the Linux, right? And that Linux is providing the outputs, correct? Same here, when we talk about, let's say, this timescale database, if I just go for the 12 hours, so this is kind of thing, the device itself is maintaining some kind of database, right? If
Hmm.
you go for 24 hours, it means something is there in the background in the device itself that is trying to save the 24 hours database, right?
Yes.
Correct. So what happens basically in the background, the Linux operating system, they use the Dockers, right? Dockers is a system where Dockers and containers, right? Where we can basically store the database. Okay. And this controller is also running on a Docker, right? A Docker basically can pull the data from other Dockers to show you here. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'll just do one thing. Let me do an inspect here. Okay. I'll go to the network. Okay. Let me try to refresh something. If I'll just do a resize, no resize, let me refresh this to 10 minutes. Or I'll do one thing. Let me clear this from where I can clear. Okay. Hmm. You see, we are sending some request. If you see, we are sending some request here. What I want to get here, I want to get some kind of this data, right? And these are information we have, right? And then it will basically push the packet out to, if you see the path here, that's the internal path on the device, right? And that is trying to push
Yeah.
the device, right? These are the cookies that we are using, some token based cookies they are using, right? And they are trying to fetch something. Now let us go for the response. What in the response, what we are getting? If you see this HTTP method in the response, what we are getting here, we are getting the USB attached or not, that is false. File name length is 255, vdom, the virtual DOM, right? That is root. Okay, path is a system path, right? In the system tab we are getting here, right? Name is USB log and n numbers of thing here, right? The serial number we are getting, the version number we are getting, the build number we are getting, right? So that will be in the, you see this one, exactly same information we are getting here, right? If I go for the CPU also, let's say once this will get refreshed, right? We have here other tabs also. Let's say this is a different one. I'm just trying to figure out the CPU one. Okay. This firmware, connections, usage. You see the CPU counter, right? So I want to get the
Yeah.
CPU counter here, right? So in the header, it will ask for the CPU counter and where it is located, right? If you see the multiple values, right? You see the multiple values here. How we are getting these values,
Hmm.
right? It means somewhere the device has those database, right, in the background. Okay. And those
Yeah.
database where that is located, right? So this Linux use the Docker concept, right? So if I'll just go tell you a few more things here, Docker and containers, right? So I'll just show you the flow chart, something like that. You see, we have the hardware. Over top of that, we have the Linux over top of we have the Docker, right? Now these Dockers will have, let's say, application A, application B, application C, application D. What are these applications? Let's say this FortiGate is using a HTTP web page that will act as an application A. The FortiGate is using a Docker to save the metric values for all the telemetry. That will be application B. Let's say the configuration, this FortiGate is maintaining a kind of orchestration database in a different container, right? So that will be this one. Okay. So what is happening in the background? These containers are very light, right? It means, let's say, if I'll tell you, I will directly save the configuration on the device itself in the some folder or some directory, right? So to pull the data from there is a different task, and to pull a data from the Dockers and containers, that's a we can say they have the direct direct binding to the CPU. Okay, just like a kernel binding, right? When we say kernel is having basically direct access to the CPU, right? Same here whenever we're in the Docker.
Yes.
Right? Docker is we can say is on the top of the host operating system, and host is having the kernel of the host is having the access to the CPU, right? So this works in very frequent way, right? So most of the vendors, they actually use the Dockers and containers to save the data and to use these applications. So whatever browser I'm running here, let's say this 112, right? So as of now, this FortiGate do not provide the Linux platform. Let me just try it here one more time. CLI, okay, I can do. We can't run. So that is very, very modified shell, right? I can't run any of the single Linux command, even when we log in. So the device will basically push your admin credentials directly into the shell, right? We can't do this here. But once you start working in the, let's say, you're working as a FortiGate engineer, that is the team is responsible for doing to adding new features on the UI, to adding new features in the basically in the Dockers even itself, right? Let's say, what do you think in the future? The FortiGate might support some new configuration or some new telemetry things. Let's assume, right? So at that time, okay, let's assume as of now, um, go to the network. If you see what we do have, RIP, OSPF, EIGRP. Sorry, RIP, OSPF, and BGP we have, right? We don't have the EIGRP. But you see, the EIGRP is now the open standard, right? Earlier that was a Cisco product.
Mhm.
Now that is open standard, right? So basically, in future there are chances that the new vendors or other vendors, they will come up with a new feature that is basically the AIGRP. At that time, what you can do, let's say you're working in the company where they are working to enhance the capability, to enhance the basically to enhance the features on the UI itself, right? So at that time, you will see you will be working on the device base itself, right? You will be having the source code of the operating system. It means you can go inside the Linux platform of the FortiGate, right? And then you can basically ask the engineers, or you will ask the developer to run few commands, get the output of the EIGRP, run the command. It will be like a chaining kind of thing. Okay. And why we're learning these things?
Yeah.
Because this is the background of the FortiGate or background of all the firewalls. Okay. Now, that's the background of the firewall. That is fine, right? Even in future, once you start working as that engineer, as that level, right, where they are trying to develop the enhancement, the develop the features, right, more features inside the FortiGate. So you'll be working on those things, right? But at that time, you should know
Mhm.
about the Linux, you should know about the scripting, few more things, right? And you should know about the basically the Dockers and containers. Then only you can give the inputs to the developer also, like do this task, and then get this output, right? So yeah, even same if I'll talk about the Palo Alto and other things, right? They do the same thing, right? And what is a base again? Let's say if I'll just ask specifically which OS we use in the Palo Alto, which OS we use in the FortiGate. So you will say Linux or any other name you have in your mind.
I think Linux.
Linux, right? Yeah, that is Linux. Perfect. But any specific name do you have, like any modified version of the Linux you know about? Let's say,
Ubuntu.
okay, cool. Okay, let me add something here. Let's say what you want, you have your bare metal device. Okay. You know about the term bare metal, right? That's a device without any operating system. That's a hardware only. Okay. Like we purchase a, let's say, a CPU and the other components of the hardware, right? We just attach it without operating system. That's a bare metal device, right? Let's say you have your bare metal device, right? And what you want there, you want to use the device as a security device, as a firewall device. What you can do, if you know everything, no need to purchase the FortiGate, no need to purchase the Palo Alto, right? It means like no need to purchase. No, that is not a correct line. Let's say you just want to secure your home network, right? Then no need to purchase these vendors, right? Reason being, even these vendors in the background, they are using an operating system that is basically, that is FreeBSD. Okay. FreeBSD, the operating system that is based on the Linux, okay, and is having the enhancement with few more directories, few more concept over there with security features. If you start reading the documentation here, right, this is free to use basically, and you will get the open source code here. Okay, it means you can utilize every single component, you can utilize every single directory, you can check inside, you can check everything in this FreeBSD operating system. Palo Alto, FortiGate, any vendor, right? They actually use FreeBSD operating system to do the enhancement. It means they are not working directly on the Linux. They are working on the FreeBSD. Okay, and in the FreeBSD itself has n numbers of security rules inside it. Okay, so FreeBSD has already inbuilt security features, security rules, URL filtering, and VPN and IPsec tunnels, n numbers of things that has, right. What the FortiGate is doing, FortiGate is just trying to convert that CLI into UI, the CLI into UI, and with added security features. Definitely, we can't say that is just a copy and paste in the FortiGate, no, or just copy and paste to the Palo Alto, no. Basically, they have a team. They actually work on the FreeBSD, and they are trying to enhance few more security features inside that. Let's say we are using VPN in the FreeBSD. Now they are enhancing the VPN capability over there also, right? They are enhancing the power of the VPN to use in the FortiGate if they have the, let's say, bunch of the devices, right? How to use that at that time, right? So even they are enhancing, but just to secure a home network, just to test out these things, right? Or you want to open your company for the firewall, right? So at that time, you can start using FreeBSD. Your developer team will start working on the FreeBSD and will basically add few more features over there using scripting, Python languages they will use over the FreeBSD, and then you can basically get a new dashboard over there that will have your own features over there to get the metrics and to show the information, something like this. Okay, so basically, this is the history of the, what can say, what they were using actually, how they build it, how they came up with this solution. Okay, so that was a FreeBSD. Okay, if I'll just say a Cisco device that is purely Linux based, over top of Linux, they are using the Cisco shell. When we say firewall device, they are using the FreeBSD as a base. Over FreeBSD, they have their own shell. Okay. Any
Okay.
it out till this point?
No,
Okay.
I did not know this before. Yeah.
Okay. So any questions in this one? Anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Okay, nice. Okay, because why we know, like, why we should know these things, like again, when we want to go for the expertise level, right, we should know every single steps, right? Because let's say
Yeah.
a FortiGate interview, anyone can answer. Anyone, trust me, anyone can answer about these things. Anyone can tell, okay, do this configuration, do this configuration, do this configuration. But if you know the background logics of these things, right, how these things are working, how these things are correlated, and what is the background logics they are putting over there to get the metrics to, and if you know these terms, right, the Dockers containers and the telemetry data, right, and how they fetch it from the Dockers, right, they use some kind of scripting inside it, right? If you know these things a little bit, right, so you'll be on the top of that, of other, we can say, guys, right? So you'll be having some extra plus points over there that you know about the development part also of the FortiGate firewall. Okay.
So what is the language used for FortiGate in the background?
Okay, so that is
Linux.
Yeah, look here. When we say which language, right? So we have multiple things here. Let's say if I will talk about this web page, so they might have used, let's say, okay, they are not using PHP.
Mm,
They are not using PHP. Okay, we can figure it out what they're using. Inspect. Okay, they are using HTML language here. Okay, so they are using
mm,
HTML for this browser only. Okay, I'm talking about the browser only, right? For this browser only to get the details here to show this dashboard here, right? They are using HTML language, but inside that, whatever logics they are putting over there, like the shell and the your shell and your FreeBSD. So they might have used the languages and numbers of languages we have now. These firewalls are not very specific to use any specific language, and they do not open this secret, right? Let's say Palo Alto might be using shell-based scripting, C language, Python language, right? FortiGate might be using some other kind of information, JNMIC they will be using, right? Google, basically Google thing, Google language that has, right? And n numbers of things that, because when we talk about which language, there are n numbers of language to use. Okay, so we can't say which language actually they are using. So once you go inside the FortiGate documentation, you might find out which language they are using. Okay,
mm.
because they will be
Okay.
using multiple languages. Dashboard a different language to get the data of the telemetry, different language to get the SNMP trap, a different language over there. So they will be using a bunch of languages over there to bring everything in a single dashboard and to make it very fast. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So as an engineer, you should know about these things, fine. Yeah, even the languages you should know, right? A little bit. Let's say Python, how that works, how that pull the data, how to read a file, right? So these things, because even if you some kind of here, um, I might get, let's say in future, what happens here, directly from here, I want to get this image, or I want to get download this, let's say this complete file into a CSV file, right? How we do that? Directly from here. So it means I have to put some more logic over there, save the information first of all in the CSV file, give the option here to download the path available over there, and then download it, right? So we can do everything from here, right? It is up to us how much comfortable user should be here, right? As per the user experience, right? We can put more things here, right? Because whenever the company works on the UI, let's say in future FortiGate will announce a new operating system or a new version of the FortiGate, right? So initially basically that will take, we can say, they will get the feedback of the customers, they will get the feedback of the users, right? They have their own team, basically they work on the user customer experience kind of. Let's say they will be having a team, and the team will is only working on a dashboard, and they are checking, okay, what can be done more, what can be done more here to make it more user friendly, right? It means the team is
Mm,
this part. In the future you might get few more things over there in the terms of the dashboard. Definitely not sure about these new features, but dashboard definitely you'll get few more things over there. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Any questions? Any doubt till this point?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's move forward here. Okay, so here we get the status. We have the network tab here, right? In the network tab, what we get? Let's say I want to check the routing information. I can click over here. It will expand it, right? Now it will show me, first of all, here the routing table. Here we have, it will tell me, okay, steady connected. Okay. How many ports I do have as of now? One is connected. Cool. Let's say I want to check more specific. As of now, I do have the static and connected only. Let's say in future, I'm running AIGR, I'm running RIP protocol, OSPF for BGP. I will get the new colors here. Let's say I want to verify only as of now. Tell me the static configuration. Okay. You can click here only. Okay. Can you give me a minute? Just
Mm,
1 minute.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm back. Okay, so yeah, to get only the four, let's say I'm running Edge, RIP protocol, OSPF, and few more things, right? I want to get a specific routing table detail, right? I can just click on the same platform. Let's say I only static. I can click it out here. It will filter the same thing, and it will show me exactly the same information. Okay, if you see that filter is activated here, right? If I choose here,
Yeah.
say I want other OSPF or BGP, whatever I want here, right? I can basically remove the filter. I can get here the information. Let's say I want only for the connected. I can click here and it will show me the connected route also. That's it. Okay.
Mhm.
Same way I can do the filtering for the interfaces also. Remove the filtering, click. As of now, we have the single port. Just click here. Right. We get the same table. That is. But when we have multiple ports, I want to verify for the single port only. I can click on the specific port and we can get the details. And if you want to remove, you can click out here and you can remove the filter. Okay. And
Okay.
switch directly from here once you refresh from here, right? I'll just show you one more thing here in the inspect if we get it, right? Go to the network. Once we refresh it, look here, it sends something, get a reply, right? So let's say IPv4 routes. You see IPv4 static routes, IP mask is this one, distance is this one, metric is this one. It is trying to pull the data. You see, they have some variables, right? They have some variables. They are trying to get the detail of the variable only. This dashboard does not have the real idea. That has the idea. Okay, I do have some variables. I have to ask the variables. The container will give me the variable inputs, whatever it is containing, right? So this is how they
Mm.
get the data. If you see every single information here we have, right? And
So
then we,
that is in the background, right?
yeah, this is the basically background mechanism we are having here. Or whenever, let's say you're working in the team, right? And you are not getting the right thing, right? Let's say you're trying to refresh, but you are not getting the right thing here. You can basically, we go actually here, right? So we go here, we go to the network, right? We check here, we are sending a request or not. So we refresh this tab. We are sending something here, right? Then we check it out.
Mm.
What we are getting. Let's say after refresh, this is not happening, right? After refresh, this is not happening. It means some issue is on the UI. You will talk to developer team who is working on the UI. You will say, okay, your request is not working. First of all, make it work, and then I'll tell you something more, right? Once that is working, you will go there. Let's say firmware, right? And you will say in the output you are not getting any response. The response is null, 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 null. It means your containers are not having the database. It means now you will ask the engineer that is working on the containers to get the status of the devices, because containers itself, they actually talk to the devices, right? Let's say I want to connect few more devices here, right? It means what happens at that time, it will try to pull the data from the device, right? Or whatever FortiGate you're running or the box you're running, right? It means those containers basically save this information, right? And you have to work with a specific team after checking these response and the payload. You are getting something over there or not. Headers, what headers is actually asking. Headers, basically the developer, the UI team works on the headers. Okay, this header is populated by the UI only. Okay, a response is basically triggered by the device. Okay, and even I don't know about these multiple things like what is initiator, what is timing, timestamp is there. Yeah, definitely. Cookies, the kind of token based cookies they are using right now. Okay, so this is how basically you can check it out. Okay,
Okay.
without it, all good.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so yeah, from here you can verify for the policy. You can check your BGP neighbors. You can check your BGP paths, also OSPF neighbors, whatever neighbors you are getting right now for the OSPF, you can check it out. As of now, we don't have, but yes, once we
Hmm.
protocol, once we have the OSPF neighborship, once we have the BGP neighborship, I'll come back here again and we'll show you the neighbors also. Okay, cool. Go back. So here DHCP, let's say your device is working as a DHCP server. Do you know how to configure DHCP, your device as a DHCP server?
Here in FortiGate, right?
The FortiGate, right?
We actually just enable on the interface
Right.
and use the pool and specify the DNS and gateway and everything. So that's DHCP.
Correct. So same here, we get the DHCP information here, right? I had one device here that was getting the IP from this DHCP. Let me just check. Oh, that's a different firewall. Okay, no worries. Okay, come back here. Status. Cool. If we have the IPsec information also here, if we have configured SD-WAN information, SSL VPN, if we have configured, right? So we get the status of the normal networking stuff here, right? If you want to add more widget here, yes, you can add your as per the requirement. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, device inventory, users, FortiGate clients, whatever, any other device, right? So you get the information here. So once we start doing the configuration, we get the data. At that time, we can basically check out the more data here. Okay, cool. Let's say, okay, now if I talk, okay, these are the configuration that we have, right? So the configuration I'll start, I think we can start tomorrow, the configuration, right? And okay, let's see if I'll go to the system, administrate. So here, these are the normal settings we have, right? You want to change the time zone, you want to set the NTP server, right? You can set it here, right? Or you want to select a sync server, FortiGate server, you can set it here, right? Or any custom server you want to set, you can set, right? And administrator access, right? So this UI access, let's say you want here to access this port, this UI on the different port number. You can set the port numbers here also, right? Any certificates if you are using, so certificates, yeah, once we talk about the security features and the policies, even that time I will talk about these certificates. Okay, as of now this
Okay.
certificate is only for the dashboard, only for this dashboard, not the real certificate. This is right, this certificate is only to access this browser, so that we should not get the error here. Okay, that's it, nothing
Okay.
it belongs to. Access port number, telnet port number if you want to allow. Idle timeout. This idle timeout is basically for the UI. Let's say if I'll not do anything for the next 5 minutes, this dashboard will be log out for next after 5 minutes. Okay. Let's say what I want, this should be log out after inactivity of, let's say, 10 minutes. So I can do it like this. Okay. So after inactivity of 10 minutes, this browser will be log out. Okay.
Okay.
And okay, password policy, if you want to integrate something here, IPsec, or you want to use the admin card, anything, right? You want to integrate some policy here, you can integrate, right? We'll talk about in future more once we start in the configuration. And email, fine. Okay, this was the basic information about this one. Okay, and these things we'll talk about, users and profiles we'll talk about this also. HA we'll talk about. Okay, this was the very basics of the FortiGate. Okay, any questions, any doubt to this point?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so today whatever we have learned, like all good, right? And we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
learned something new. Okay, cool.
Yes, we definitely learn new things.
Okay, great guys, great, awesome. Okay, so today let's wind up here. Okay, so I think we are only one. Yeah, sorry, you are only here. Okay, so tomorrow we will start with few more basic configuration. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
like how to configure interface, how to configure the management interface again if you want, from the UI, from the CLI. Okay, we'll see how we can do a factory reset. Let's say I have done some mesh here, right? I want to do a factory reset with license, without license, that how we can do, right? And basic features of Palo Alto, like, sorry, again Palo Alto, this FortiGate. Okay, the last batch I have deleted.
Factory reset, right?
Sorry.
You want to do the factory reset, and also
Yeah,
can
I'll show.
we also do the configuration restore and firmware update and then downgrading back to that?
About the configuration you're talking about, right? Or firmware, like I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Like
configuration and
firmware, right? Yeah,
okay,
we will do it. Okay, because the
okay,
firmware hardware, if we have the hardware that works well, right? In the virtualization, I'm not bit confident to do that. Okay.
okay,
And then like we'll see the zones, we'll see the VLANs, the interface configuration, right? Then we'll move for the routing.
okay.
So these things we'll do tomorrow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay. Thank you. Bye, Nabi. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, bye. Have a good day.